Hi, here's a video for INT230 visual presentation. And in this class, it's basically a hand drawing class, a hand drawing and rendering class, picking up from where we left off in INT145. We're seeing a move more and more towards digital rendering. The same rules that apply to digital rendering apply to hand rendering. So in this class, you'll have the opportunity to explore presentation techniques either through hand drawings, markers, pens, pastels, pencils, also through digital visualization. The supplies that are required this semester are as follows, and I'm just going to start which is what's required, and then we'll move more into things that you can add as funds are available to your cart. So the first thing is you need 2 pens of various sizes, thickness. And so students who know me know that Sharpie Ultrafine and Papermate Flare is almost an extension of me. I always have these with me when I'm lecturing, when I'm meeting with clients. I always have these with me. And I like these because you can buy them in any store, and Walgreens. If you're ordering your groceries, you can order those. Office Max for free pickup outside right now during the pandemic. But I like these because of the 2 different thicknesses. That one's looking a little old, and I got some new ones for the holidays from my kids. But yeah, look at that nice, thick pen. It doesn't smell, it's not toxic, which is important to me. So that's Papermate Flare Medium. And then Sharpie Ultrafine. So Ultrafine will be a little finer than the one above. So these are really nice because we can do thick punch lines and thinner detail lines. So those are the 2 that I use, and I always have with me in my purse, etc. If you already have drafting supplies, any brand, it doesn't have to be Micron, but any brand, you're just going to want to pick at least 2 different line weights or thicknesses. This is a brand, Faber-Castell, and I got this at Jerry's Artorama. It's S, like just a nice standard weight. This is an 08. '05, a little thinner. And 3. So different brands ranging from, these are professional, waterproof. These are all different types of technical pens. So if you have these, and you can have 2 different line weights, a thick and a thin, then you're good to go. And you don't need to purchase any additional pens. So thick and thin pen, that's the first thing that you'll need. Jelly pens, a lot of students like jelly pens because this is Jelly Roll 08, that's the size. It's a white pen where you can roll over, so you probably can't see, but I'm kind of just going over some of those lines. What this is nice for is crisp highlights and where you want to add just kind of that fine white line to a drawing. I don't actually feel like this is necessary because you have access as interior design students at Phoenix College to Photoshop, Illustrator, all types of different programs where you can add those nice crisp white lines really easy once you scan in your drawings. But a lot of my students still do like those, so I'll keep those for you. In terms of highlights, those making those bright points on the drawing. A lot of my students also like pastel pencils. So these are two pastel pencils. One's white, one is a cream color. And these are nice when we're working with drawings, when you want to add, I call it sunshine, right? You want to add some sunshine to a drawing, like the lights coming in. Those are really nice to have. So I find that students do enjoy having at least a white and maybe a cream pastel, actual, pastel, or a pastel pencil, which you're seeing here. When times are tight or time is tight and I need something, sometimes I've even used eyeshadow as a pastel. So this is what's required. Thick, thin, and then let's talk about our gray markers. So I've asked you to purchase 5 to 7 markers, moving in scale from the lightest, which is like a 10 or a 10%. Sometimes it's a 1, 20, 30, 50. So you can see that they're going to get darker as the numbers go up. So 10% here to 90%. So I'll just show you some of those. A marker, this is by Prismacolor. You can, if you have Prismacolors from other classes or something similar, that's fine. What's important is that you pick a gray marker of the same type of gray. So just like that, there is no one white. There's cream whites, there's blue whites, there's pink whites, grays vary greatly. So you want to stick with the same family of grays. So you want to stick with all cool grays, or all warm grays, all neutral grays, all Parisian grays, or French grays, etc. So whatever you decide, just stay in the same family. Don't switch from cool to warm. Prismacolor markers come like this. This is an industry standard marker. They come with dual tips, meaning 2 tips. You'll notice that one side is shown thicker and one side is shown with a finer line. So this edge is called a chiseled edge. A chiseled edge marker has just exactly that, a chiseled edge on an angle. And then we play around with the nose and the tip to get different line weights. So I'll just apply some of this on. Here's the chisel, here's the nose, and here's the tip. Chisel, the nose of the pen, the marker, and then the tip. On the other side is a fine point for details. So for those of us who like to hatch and have nice details, that's what the pointed edge is for. So you're going to find, and you probably already discovered this as you're out ordering, that Prismacolor also offers another type of dual tip. And so if you notice on this one, there is a swirl on the top. Okay, like this swirl effect. That's indicating that I have a brush tip and a fine tip. So instead of having that chisel point, we're going to have a brush tip. And it has more of a calligraphy effect, right? Really. So I use both. I find for architectural drawings, the chisel is probably the best. Not to say if you've ordered brush tips that you have to return them. These just work a little better for things like trees and pillows and things that are a little more organic. Either one is fine. I also said if you wanted to, you can get your set of grays from Tombow, another company of markers. So let's look at Tombow. So when we work with adding color, we first start by adding the gray scale, shade, shadow, and highlight. And then we move to applying color. So here are Tombow markers. Tombow markers, these really last. For something that seems like something you just pick up my kids at a craft store or something, these really are quite professional and are professional markers. They do not have the chisel point, which I'm really accustomed to as an interior designer. But I think for the sake of this class, especially since most of us will be working from home this semester, learning from home, I think these will work really well because they have a brush tip and a fine tip, and they're really quite beautiful. And the thing that I like about them is that they can both have a marker effect and quality, as well as if you dip it in watercolor or just in basic water, we can create a nice watercolor effect as well. And it's going to take a moment to dry, but you can blend those and have a nice watercolor effect. So I gave you a list of marker colors by Tombow to purchase. If you already have markers from Prismacolor or somewhere else, professional markers that you want to use, that's fine. But know that these are water-based, so we can do the watercolor effect with them. Whereas the Prismacolor, you do need a blender that actually comes with the Prismacolor marker set to blend the gray. So what you should notice is, it's not a lot of bright poppy colors like of a circus. Rather, when we're working with illustration, we work with more earth tones. So if you can't find an exact beige or an exact light blue or an exact gold that you're looking for, just find something close. Because we're looking for just nice variety of earth tones, blues, greens, browns, and then as needed pops of color. So those are the Tombow markers. So these are things that you might just want to purchase. You don't have to, but if you have watercolor pencils, we can certainly use some watercolor pencils in this class. In terms of colored pencil, the brand of choice again is Prismacolor. So Prismacolor pencils by Prismacolor are the kind of pencil of choice for professional designers. And in this class, we'll use pencils, if we use any, in conjunction with markers. So here's the thing, styles change over time, and entire pencil drawings are actually just kind of out of favor. Markers and watercolors, digital renderings are more popular. But we do use pencils still with markers so that you can use markers to quickly put color on a large area and then work in some details with the pencils. If the vaccination warp speed kind of picks up, maybe we'll be back in our classroom. So on Fridays you can come in, and we have all of these supplies in our classroom. Unfortunately, I'm just trying to keep it really simple for you for this class since we're online, just to get some Tombow markers, thick and thin pen, and you're pretty good to go. But those are pencils. So different types, here's Prismacolor markers again. Copic markers, those are pretty darn expensive. They're like $5 each, but they're refillable, so that's nice if you do a lot of illustration. I do not recommend chart pack markers, and I won't even open up this to show you. It's very similar to Prismacolor. And actually, before I kind of had health problems, I loved chart pack markers. I had a whole set of like 200 markers that I finally just gave to a student. They're toxic. So if we were in a classroom and if you are working in a small area and if you're using these markers, so add markers, chart pack, even though it says non-toxic. We've had nosebleeds and people getting dizzy and things like that. So if we were in our studio class, I don't even allow these in our classroom. So just a warning about this brand. Finally, if you have some eyeshadow or some pastels, you know, pastels are really wonderful to work with in conjunction with markers. So markers are our main medium, and then we'll just kind of play around with some others. And here's the thing is, if you happen not to have these, I show you ways just to get the look through the computer, through digital modes. Here's my eyeshadow. So I'll be available the first class to answer any questions about materials. You can always reach me by email, but don't feel locked into my list, but just understand that, you know, do your best to get a variety of markers in pretty earth tones and then that cool gray set. You'll be able to pick up a printout set at the Copy Center. That's just right off the campus on 10th Avenue. And they're open from like 7:30 to 3 o'clock daily. I'll make sure I provide the address. I put together these packets for you just so that you had examples of marker paper. So here's marker paper that we'll be working on. This is what your packet will look like. Just one piece of tracing paper. I'm asking you to get more. This is just a piece of cardstock that I cut. I've taken professional seminars like in Las Vegas and around the country, and professional illustrators really find that just a piece of cardstock or a cardboard cut like this is a great way to use a straight edge with markers. So you have one of those. Just an example of tracing paper and different printouts. This will be your first lesson and so on. So you have a complete printout. And then on the back, you'll notice that some of the paper is thicker on cardstock. So this gives you a chance to explore marker paper, trace, just regular Xerox paper, and some harder cardstock. So please pick that up before the first week of class, or within the first or couple weeks of class. That'll be available for you at the Copy Center. It is free for you to pick up. If you're going to purchase your own marker paper, know that there is a right and wrong side to the marker paper. So if you are purchasing a pack of marker paper, either maybe 9 by 12 or 11 by 14, know that when you open up the marker paper, the correct side is facing front, and then there's a back side. The reason why there's a correct side that you will actually apply your markers to, the front versus the back, is that marker paper is very thin. And so what they do is they put a protective film on the back. So that helps your markers from bleeding onto other surfaces and to using up all your ink. So we want to apply our markers to the front of the marker paper and not the back. And you'll notice a little difference. So what I do is when I get a new pad of paper, I just put a small check in the corner to indicate which side is the correct side. Because what you're going to find sometimes these get pulled out and then you can't remember. So when you get your new marker set of paper, just go ahead and put a small pencil check in the corner indicating the right side, the true face. We're just going to have some examples and then that'll be the end of this video, and I hope this helped explain the different mediums that we'll be using in this class. So here we have tracing paper, and tracing paper is really fun because it's very fluid, okay? It's very fluid and colors just go on very easy. You can't give it too much detail, and so you have this really nice, easy effect. You can also put markers on both sides of the paper. So I'm just going to put some quick color here, some quick color here. And if I wanted to, so I don't have to mix colors, I can go in like with a dark gray and put markers on the reversed side. So we'll do exercises with marker paper. Excuse me, tracing paper. So tracing paper is great to do your drawings on, and then we scan those and we bring them into Photoshop or Illustrator, so they're great for that. But they're also great just to put some quick marker on top of. So we will work with tracing paper. We will work with marker paper. So I like marker paper because, again, it's very nice and it's very fluid. You can work on both sides of the paper, and then we'll enjoy blending. So we'll work with marker paper. A watercolor effect. This is the same marker. I just added some water to the tip so you can see how it lightens up. Okay, so we'll work with marker and marker paper. And then we will work on cardstock. So I don't know if you can hear this a little bit, but it's a heavier paper. And so when you apply marker to a cardstock, a heavier paper rather than a trace or a marker paper, it lets you be very controlled and exact. So for those of you who don't like bleeding, you don't like to see, the marks of the pen as much, or you'll like working on a presentation bond or a cardstock paper because you have a lot more control. So you're going to find out kind of a little bit about your personality if you like these more perfect drawings, right? These are both on cardstock. Or if you like something a bit more quick and fluid. I change over time. I'm kind of in this quick fluid mode. Especially these look so pretty scanned and then just sent to your client. So you'll explore, and I encourage you, before I leave, I encourage you to, try all of this out. Don't be afraid. And by the end of the semester, you'll have an aesthetic that you respond to, and that'll be what you develop for your final project. Next lesson, we will be looking at sketching.